Hey everybody, it's Dr. Prockenshire. Welcome to day 11. It's Thursday, I think. We're going to look back at this and wonder, was this a sci-fi movie or what's really going on? I want to remind everybody, take this legitimate, and I want to go over all the recommendations that I've made for patients in a little more detail for you, so you can understand what you're taking and what you purchased and why we have you on it. And I want to give you the research that I'm giving other doctors about these tools so you can be informed properly and not get caught up in a lot of the internet garbage that's happening. A couple points. Watch for text messages from the office. Watch for emails. If you don't get our emails, call the office. We'll get you on them. If you don't follow us on Facebook or Instagram, do that now. And we can help you do that. Call the office, obviously. I am going to try and do daily Facebook Lives to keep everybody up to speed, and particularly with as fast as changes are happening. I think that's the best way to go. I'm also going to get you interviews from different docs around the world to fill you in on what's going on properly. So you're going to get a chance to meet a lot of my friends, a lot of researchers. Let's make the most of the time that we have. And now's a good time to do this because I've never really had the time to do it before. So please, if you don't have to go out, don't. We were at Whole Foods yesterday in Ann Arbor. There wasn't really much food left. And I know gas is cheap, but stay home and let our healthcare workers do their job. So let's talk about some research. We know now, thanks to the Chinese, the Israelis, the South Koreans, the British, the French, and U.S. researchers, so global research, we know that vitamin C is the real deal. Okay? We know what the dosages are. We know how to get it in the body. These are your references. We also know that IV vitamin C is very important. And your dosage is running 7.5 to 15 grams a day for a 180-pound adult. So if you have a doctor willing to do IV vitamin C, by all means, reach out to them and see if they're willing to have you in the office. The vitamin C that we've been recommending for most people is the Camu vitamin C liposome powder. Tastes a bit like Ovaltine. It's got a chocolatey flavor to it. One little scoop is going to give you 1,000 milligrams of real organic vitamin C. We're recommending 1 to 3 scoops a day in a little bit of water. I just had a dose. It goes down pretty smooth. There are other forms of vitamin C we've been using. We've got the liposomal liquid from Designs for Health. And for those of you that would prefer a tablet, we are using the BioC Plus from Biotics Research. The dosage on the liquid would be a teaspoon twice a day. The dosage on the tablet would be 2 tabs twice a day. If you don't know where those are, how to get them, go to our web store, call the office, and we'll set you up. But my personal preference, the one I'm using for me and my family, and the one we're using in the office for all the other doctors, is the Camu. All right, so vitamin C works. Vitamin C also prevents this virus from doing its dastardly deed by clinging to mucosal membranes. So vitamin C can keep you alive in this situation. And that's what this reference is all about right here. Now, the other point to this particular physiology here, these things called furins. And furins are the reason this COVID virus has the ability to cause so much damage to the lungs. So we know how it kills people. The next logical question would be, is there anything that we have that can inhibit furin reactions? And the number one thing they found that inhibits furin reactions is Andrographis paniculata. Specifically, the andrographolides in that plant. As you know, I've been recommending the Andrographis complex or Sinotrol as your sources of Andrographis. So if you have the Sinotrol, right, obviously it was designed for sinuses, but technically it's an antifungal, and you're getting roughly 100 milligrams of andrographolide in every 3 capsules. And so that's a therapeutic dose. So if you're doing 3 Sinotrol twice a day, you're getting more than enough andrographolide to help your body get through this. There's other things in Sinotrol that help you not feel so sick. Okay, so check out that label and go online, do some research on the Sinotrol. It's one of our favorite products for the immune system. It tends to get the job done the quickest. The MediHerb version is the Andrographis complex. So this is a different strategy. This is particularly for respiratory health. If you open the bottle and give it a smell, you'll pick up some oils in it. And so this is one of the things that makes MediHerb unique, in that they're able to take an essential oil and put it into a tablet effectively. So this particular formula is giving you about 10 milligrams of andrographolide per tablet. So there's not as many andrographolides in this product as the Sinotrol, but technically there's more Andrographis. Okay. It also has the holy basil oil and some echinacea. So Andrographis complex is our go-to lung formula. You can take it with Sinotrol if you're looking for more support. I take 1 Andrographis every day. If you start to get a scratchy throat or you're starting to feel weird in the back of the throat right now, go ahead and chew an Andrographis. It'll make your tongue tingle. It's very bitter, but it will hit those target sites in the back of the throat. The researchers are telling us that if we can keep the virus from going past the throat, we're fine. So we'll be great. The holy basil has been used traditionally for a lot of lung-related issues in India. So you can reference that pretty easily. So there's a bunch of other things that we use that have Andrographis. For those of you that have used the spleen LF before, that has 1,000 milligrams of Andrographis total. We use that to help support the spleen. When this is all said and done, this is going to be our go-to remedy. This is going to help eradicate this immune challenge. Something I've been using on kids who can't take pills is the Temple Warrior, which is a classic Chinese formula for cough, and its primary ingredient is Andrographis. As you can see, and from all the chatter online in the research groups, Andrographis is the big dog here. One of the hallmarks of Andrographis is that it is the most bitter herb known. And if you think about quinine is very bitter. So there's a lot more to this story, but that's beyond the scope of what I want to talk about for us today. I want to give you some more research as to what's going on with the products you're taking. That's where we want to spend our time. You've probably come across some information that might say that 5G is responsible for the growth of this virus. They may not be totally wrong on that. Some of the studies I found on what are called viroporins show that this particular virus has an affinity for using this pathway to replicate. I know it's complex, but basically what happens, if we look at it this way, is electromagnetic radiation comes in and it irritates the cell. Right? EMF is a lot like radon. You don't even know it's there until you measure it. But what it does to our cells is it activates these voltage-gated calcium channels, which basically tell the cell to defend itself. And the defense mechanism is actually what causes all the inflammation. So this little compound right here, peroxynitrite, creates a massive inflammatory storm in the cell. And that's what's happening in people who are dying of this virus, is they're getting extremely inflamed in the lungs and not able to clear the swelling. One of the tools I've found really effective for this is your favorite as well, and that's the turmeric forte. We're taking 2 a day on that to help manage inflammation. The other thing that you'll see in the research is melatonin, which is another reason rest and plenty of fluids are important. Researchers are finding that high levels of melatonin can help inhibit the virus. And we do know that electromagnetic radiation depletes our melatonin. So don't do what I'm doing right now, sitting in a 5G swamp. We're going to need to make sure we're careful with electromagnetic radiation to help our bodies. Mainly because all of this radiation and inflammation is stressing the heck out of our brains. So be nice to your brain. I've kind of layered in some support for you on that already. The melatonin is brain fuel. The turmeric is brain protective. So is my hemp oil. So 1 milliliter of my hemp oil twice a day will protect your brain and also keep most of us relaxed in these trying times. I'm going to do a bit of a stress talk later on in the next few days for you, but this is kind of where we're at. So this is what you've purchased, this is what you have at home. These are the studies I've got on melatonin for you. Everything's referenceable. I'm not making this up. You will get a copy of these notes so you can read them in your own time. Definitely in the comfort of your own home. So a lot going on here. This is what I've been doing with an extra minute or two. There's other plants out there that are helping. Dandelion's a big one. Licorice, of course. There's Andrographis again in the middle. But rosemary helps protect us from the inflammation that we're seeing right now. So keep that in mind. But something that doesn't get a lot of press is skullcap. Now, most of you who have been working with me for stress have already fallen in love with Nevaton. And Nevaton's first ingredient is skullcap. So while Nevaton keeps you calm to carry on, and the hemp oil is helping your brain not fry itself, the Nevaton also helps target COVID-19. Nobody's talking about that. So that's important to reference. If you've got Nevaton, you're way ahead of the game. Artemisia annua, that's our sweet wormwood. If you've used the artemisinin complex, that's what you've used. And it impacts the virus the same way quinine does, only a heck of a lot safer. So if it comes down to you've got a raging COVID-19 infection, we may look at using artemisinin. But I haven't put that out there just yet because everybody seems to be preventing it just fine. So I've given you some nice notes on Andrographis. Note it does inhibit HIV. Worth noting. It protects your liver. It's the king of the bitters. If you have Lyme, it's an important plant to consider, but it also protects your brain and spinal cord. For those of you that have been taking Sinotrol for a long time or taking an Andrographis complex, pretty cool, huh? We've got you covered. My mission is to make sure your nervous system survives this nightmare. We're going to come out on the other side pretty buff. And I'm already formulating a plan on how to deal with post-viral issues that are going to show up in people. So we're ready for it. Something else we're going to look at, we haven't brought it out yet, but I want to introduce you to astragalus, which is in the spleen LF. You don't use astragalus right away when you're sick. We're going to be using astragalus to help you recover. A lot of the studies right now coming out of Johns Hopkins are saying that this virus is causing cardiac injury. And astragalus protects your heart cells against viral inflammation. So if you have astragalus complex or you have spleen LF, you might want to take a couple a day just to stay ahead of things. If you have a pre-existing heart issue that we haven't already talked about, let's talk about it. Set up a web consult and we'll start formulating a strategy. Note that astragalus is really good for the lung qi, for people with shortness of breath. Hello, that's what we're talking about. I'm going to get Stephanie Macy on here over the next couple of days. We'll do an interview with her. She's our acupuncturist. We're going to talk about this whole lung large intestine qi thing. So hang tight because we've got a lot of good ideas for you. The other thing to don't forget about is your microbiome. So if you've got orthobiotic at home or you've got florasentropy, make sure you're taking some every day. 1 to 2 a day of either will lay a good groundwork in your gut for this. We want to remember that the gut is kind of key in protecting ourselves through this crisis. Don't forget about vitamin D. One of the reasons we added vitamin D to the bundle is it is an anti-inflammatory. It also impacts hundreds of cellular receptor sites. So we're recommending 10,000 units a day. The spray is preferred. So that's 10 sprays a day. If you have the capsules, 2 a day. A lot of good research on vitamin D and why it's good. If you've listened to my webinars recently, you saw this already. This BALT or BALT is our bronchial lymph tissue. If you get COVID-19, you're going to activate that lymph tissue and you're going to create inflammation of the brain. So that's why it's so important to remember to support your immune system of the brain. And that's why I chose Andrographis. Andrographis has you covered. All right. Other things that are killing your brain that I wanted to remind you about, and that's why we did the stress bundle. The stress bundle is the Nevaton and the hemp oil. Make sure you take those together. I like to do 2 Nevaton twice a day and 1 milliliter of hemp oil twice a day, taken together. If you take your supplements with a cup of warm water, they will work a little better. Speaking of warm water, if you have a cough or a scratchy throat, that's what the ginger tussin's for. Ginger tussin is organic ginger, wild cherry, and organic honey. Do a teaspoon in some hot water, sip it, and smell it. It'll open you right up. It's really good stuff. For those of you over 21, if you'd like to add just a little bit of alcohol to that hot water, you've got an instant hot toddy. And that'll open you up as well. So that's worth looking at. The hemp oil basically is doing this to your brain. It's saying, chill out, keep calm, carry on, and eat pancakes. It's kind of what hemp oil does. Hemp oil is also immunoprotective, so the endocannabinoid system is one of the management tools your immune system has. We don't want to overlook that. This is why getting out, going for a walk, and exercising is important, because it stimulates the endocannabinoid system, similar to hemp oil. So let's do them together. Well, we need to come through this in one piece. So things are looking good for us. We've got strategies. We're ready to go. A couple other things I want to show you to help you understand the bundles. If you've worked with me for a while, you know that Conjuplex is a cornerstone of a lot of the immune work we do. Conja for congestion. It's a thymus product. Lots of natural vitamin A and C and some calcium. So at the first sign of trouble, typically if you take some Conjuplex, usually three times a day, you can get ahead of the problem. I'm recommending everybody do 3 twice a day right now, whether or not you feel sick or not, because most people around you are sick. So let's hedge that bet. One of the problems with COVID-19 is it's asymptomatic in a lot of people. You don't know you have it. You could have it for 2 weeks and not even know it. And that's what makes you contagious. It is allergy season in Michigan. So if you got the first bundle, you got some Hista-Aid. If you were lucky enough to get some Hista-Aid, because it is heavily back-ordered, then you know how well it works. So if you have any scratchy throat, any allergy symptoms whatsoever, I want you to take 4 pumps. Let it sit in your mouth for a couple seconds and then swallow it. The other thing that made Hista-Aid get in the bundle is its liposomal quercetin. And we know that liposomal quercetin will deactivate viruses from reproducing. So that's handy. There's also a decent dose of liposomal vitamin C in there. So there's a lot of good happening with Hista-Aid. If you can't get it, and it is back ordered all over the world, you can use the D-Hist by Orthomolecular. So it comes in the children's or the adults. The children's is chewable. I like the children's if you have a scratchy throat, because you can chew 4 of them with some warm water and it'll coat your throat. That has quercetin as well. It's just not liposomal. The other gold standard we've been using is the Sambucus intrinsic. Based on the research coming out of Korea, if you can keep the virus from replicating in the back of your throat, it won't go any further. And so what you do with the Sambucus, which is elderflower, you might be familiar with elderberry. This is elderflower. You put a couple squirts of Sambucus in the back of your throat before you go to bed. If you do wake up at night with a sore throat or a dry mouth, take a couple more squirts, and that'll keep you ahead of the virus. I think we got it all. I know it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of information. I'm going to keep this data coming. And for the meantime, everybody stay safe, stay well. Call the office if you have questions. And if you want to talk to me or go over anything with me, you want to check in, we can set up a web consult. All right? Until next time.